The wind howled across the open plains, carrying with it the dry scent of dust and sun-baked earth. The road leading into Carson Valley was nearly empty that afternoon, save for the occasional rider or wagon trying to make it before sundown. Most travelers were too tired to notice the frail old man, sitting near a weather-beaten milestone at the bend of the road. His clothes were torn, hat misshapen, and hands trembling as they clutched a small tin cup. He looked like just another drifter, the kind most townsfolk had grown tired of seeing. No one knew his name, and no one cared to ask. They only saw an old man, dirty and broken, not worth their time. One by one, people passed him. A wagon filled with merchants slowed for a second before the driver snapped the reins and hurried on. A group of cowhands laughed as they rode past, calling him Old Dusty. Even the preacher who rode by on his mule offered nothing but a quick glance heavenward, perhaps praying the man's suffering would end soon. The old man never spoke a word, only kept his gaze fixed on the horizon, as if waiting for someone who might never come. His skin was cracked from the sun, his lips dry, and his eyes, those tired gray eyes, held something between sorrow and patience. By late afternoon, the desert heat began to fade into a golden calm. That's when a young cowboy named Eli Carter came riding down the trail. Eli was no stranger to hardship. His clothes were plain, his boots worn and his horse dusty, looked nearly as tired as he did. He had been working at nearby ranches, saving every penny he could to buy a small patch of land of his own. When Eli saw the old man sitting there alone, something in his chest tugged at him. He slowed his horse and dismounted. "Hey there, old-timer," Eli said softly. "You all right?" The old man looked up, blinking through the glare. "Just a little thirsty, son. Been sitting here since morning. Folks pass, but nobody's got time for an old fool." Eli pulled out his canteen and handed it over. "Here, don't worry about it." The old man's hands trembled as he drank. It was clear he hadn't had water in hours. When he finished, Eli offered him a biscuit from his saddlebag. "You shouldn't be sitting out here like this," Eli said, glancing down the dusty trail. "Town's just a few miles off." "I tried," the old man replied weakly, "but my legs don't carry me far these days. I was hoping someone might give me a lift, but they all had better things to do." Eli nodded, frowning. "Well, I got room for one more. Hop on, I'll get you into town." The old man hesitated. "You sure, boy?" "I don't got nothing to give you." "Don't need nothing," Eli said with a small smile. "Just don't want to see you bake out here." It took effort, but Eli helped the man onto his horse. They rode slowly toward Carson Valley as the sun dipped low behind the hills, painting the world in amber light. Along the way, they talked. The old man introduced himself simply as Henry, though there was something about the way he carried himself, something refined, hidden beneath the dirt and exhaustion. His words were gentle but thoughtful, his voice aged but steady. "So what brings you to these parts?" Eli asked. Henry chuckled softly. "Let's just say, I needed to see things for myself. Been a long while since I walked among ordinary folks." When they reached the town limits, Eli helped Henry down and took him to the small diner near the saloon. The few people inside turned to look. Some frowned, recognizing the old man they'd ignored earlier. Eli didn't care. He sat him down, bought him a warm meal, and watched as Henry ate slowly, with a quiet gratitude that spoke louder than any words. "Why'd you stop for me?" Henry asked finally. Eli shrugged. "My pa used to say, a man's worth is measured by how he treats someone who can do nothing. For him, guess that stuck with me." Henry nodded slowly. "Your pa was a wise man." As the evening grew darker, Eli found Henry a small room at the boarding house. Before leaving, Henry reached into his coat pocket and pulled out a small silver coin, old and polished. "Take this," he said. Eli refused. "No, sir, keep it." "Humor me," Henry insisted. "You never know when a small kindness comes back around." Eli finally took it, tipping his hat. "All right, old-timer. You get some rest now." That night, as the young cowboy rode away into the quiet plains, he didn't realize that the man he had helped wasn't just another drifter. He was Henry Dawson, father of Governor Samuel Dawson, one of the most powerful men in the entire state. And by morning, that small act of kindness would change Eli Carter's life forever. Morning dawned quietly in Carson Valley. The gossip had already begun. Folks who'd ignored the old man were now whispering about what they'd seen. Black sedans and men in tailored suits, rolling into town at sunrise. Not a common sight. In the dusty west, they stopped at the boarding house, where the same old man had spent the night. Within minutes, the whole place was buzzing. Eli was back at the stables, tightening Dusty's saddle when Sheriff McCready came striding up. "Carter, you better come quick. Some fancy folk in town are asking for you." Eli frowned. "For me, what for?" "You'll see." When Eli arrived at the diner, he saw the old man from yesterday, cleaned up, wearing a fresh suit that somehow made him look years younger. Beside him stood a tall, broad-shouldered man in a dark coat, Governor Samuel Dawson himself. Eli froze. He had seen the man's face on posters during elections. Now the governor was shaking his hand firmly. "My father told me what you did," Dawson said, his voice deep and commanding. "You showed him kindness when everyone else turned him away." Eli stammered. "Sir, I didn't know who he was. I just wanted to help." "That's exactly why it matters," the governor replied with a rare smile. "You treated him like a man, not like a burden. The world could use more folks like you." Henry stepped forward, eyes glistening. "Told you kindness comes back around, didn't I?" The governor reached into his coat and handed Eli an envelope. Inside was a letter and a deed. "My father insists we show our gratitude properly. This is for a piece of land just outside town. A ranch, yours if you'll take it." Eli was speechless. "Sir, this is too much." Henry shook his head. "Not nearly enough. You gave me something money can't buy. Dignity." News spread fast. Within hours, people who had ignored Henry the day before were now trying to shake Eli's hand, offering smiles and praise, but Eli didn't care for any of that. He just tipped his hat politely and went to thank the old man one last time. Henry looked out at the horizon, the same road where he'd been sitting just a day before. "Funny thing, boy. Yesterday I was invisible. Today they all see me, but it don't mean much. You saw me when it mattered." Eli nodded. "Guess sometimes the smallest good deed makes the biggest difference." Henry smiled. "You remember that, son. This world's built by the hands of men who stop for strangers." Before they parted, Henry handed Eli back the silver coin. "Keep it now. Not as payment, as a reminder." Years later, Eli Carter's ranch became one of the most respected in the territory. He hired drifters, fed travelers, and built his life on one simple rule: never ignore a man by the side of the road. And in Carson Valley, people still tell the story of how a young cowboy stopped for an old man, not knowing that kindness would change his destiny forever.